In the latest spree of deadly shootings in the United States, a teenager killed 19 children, all aged 7 to 10 years, after he opened fire at an elementary school in Texas. The attack occurred in the town of Uvalde, a small community about an hour from the Mexican border. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said that the 18-year-old gunman was believed to have shot his grandmother before heading to rob elementary school around noon, abandoning his vehicle, entering with a handgun, possibly also a rifle. The shooter, whose name was revealed to be Salvador Ramos, was shot by law enforcement. 3 adults have also been killed, though it is at this point unclear if this figure includes the shooter, whose motives are not yet known.
11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a mass casualty incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. This school has children that are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths. The suspect is deceased at this point. DPS is assisting with the investigation. And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime.
Now, footage showed small groups of children weaving through parked cars, yellow buses, some of them holding hands. They fled under police escort from the school. All the children in the school, they're aged around 7 to 10 years old. Robb Elementary School, it teaches more than 500 students, mostly Hispanic and economically disadvantaged students from 2nd through 4th grade. Meanwhile, the White House ordered flags to be flown at half-staff in mourning for the victims. President Biden, who returned from his trip to Asia, was visibly frustrated when he addressed the nation.
Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's time to turn this pain into action. For every parent, for every citizen in this country, we have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act.
Now, a spree of deadly shootings in the latest spree of deadly shootings in the United States. A teenager killed 19 children, all aged between 7 to 10 years. This after he opened fire at an elementary school in Texas on Tuesday.
Yes, we can.
Now, for more on this, we're being joined by Spencer Crishley from California, who is a strategic communication expert. Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Now, we've seen such shooting incidents in the past. Schools in particular have been targeted as well. What do you think is driving gun violence in the United States? I hope you can hear me. I was asking you that we've seen such incidents in the past as well. What do you think is driving gun violence in the United States? Well, we seem to be having a little trouble with that line. We will get him back online with us, but once again letting our viewers know that in a spree or in a deadly shooting in the United States, a teenager killed 19 children, all aged between 7 to 10 years, after he opened fire at an elementary school in Texas on Tuesday. Once again, we're being joined by Spencer Crishley, who is strategic communication expert. Welcome to the broadcast. I hope you can hear me now. Now, we've seen such shooting incidents in the past as well. Schools have been targeted. What do you think is driving gun violence in the United States?
You know, I'm afraid to say I really think it's just the desire to sell guns. There is no reason for the United States to have such extremely high levels of gun violence except for the easy availability of guns, the just flooding of the market with guns. The pro-gun lobby points to red herrings like mental illness, for example, but there is no greater incidence of mental illness in the United States than anywhere else. And despite the United States' reputation for violence, it is not culturally a more violent society or psychologically a more violent society than many other developed nations around the world. What makes the difference is the availability of guns, so that when somebody does become violent, which happens everywhere, they have machines of death readily available to kill far more people than they otherwise would be able to, including themselves. Our suicide rate is enormously high also because of the easy availability of guns.
Right, absolutely. Now, that being said, what hurdles does the Biden administration face to bring in tighter gun controls?
The Republican Party, unfortunately, and this has been the story for decades now, even after the horrific Newtown shooting, the one that everybody thought, if anything could possibly change the gun regulation situation in the United States, it would be the death of 20 innocent little children at the Newtown school in Connecticut 10 years ago. Here we are today with 19 children killed, 2 teachers killed, and I don't think anybody has any confidence anything will happen. And this despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of Americans, including Republicans, including gun owners, we're talking levels as high as 80 and 90%, favor common sense gun regulation, but the gun sellers' lobby is far more powerful than the voters of the United States, unfortunately.
Right, Mr. Spencer Critchley, thank you so much for joining us with your insights on this.